Hi, I'm Matt Collins. I'd like to welcome you to Bob Weber Auto Mart on Douglas Avenue here in Racine, across from Douglas Park. We specialize in 1-year-old, low mileage, almost new cars. And if you'd like to stop by and see them, or see them on our website, bobweberautomart.com, we could save you between $5,000 and $10,000 on your next almost new car purchase.
I'm Michael Burke, and this is Money Talks. Hi, we're with Bob Bradley, the village president of Caledonia today. Bob, how long have you been village president?
This is starting the second half of my first term.
Second half of your first term.
A year and month.
Okay.
But I was on the village board previously.
Yeah, and you're otherwise retired, right?
Semi-retired.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. There are a lot of development issues to talk about in Caledonia these days.
Correct.
It's a pretty interesting time. Let's start on kind of a down note. I had written a story in March about a 60-acre business park that was supposed to be started up on along Highway K, a little bit west of Franksville. Now you tell me that is a no-go.
Well, yeah, that is correct.
What happened?
A couple things happened. It was called Project Beer, and
why beer? What the kind of beer you drink, or what?
Could be, but I don't know where they came up with the name. That's
okay.
The name they used, and
right.
It was presented to the village through Majestic Development.
Based in LA, I think.
Yeah, based in LA, correct. And have had a very tight timetable. One was they'd like to have been in the building by November.
They had a tight timetable because they had a ready tenant.
They had a ready tenant,
yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And some of the issues were getting sewer and water to the location. That was one. And
but they would have known about that. They would have known it didn't have sewer and water.
Well,
so why would that have cropped up as a problem?
We had the capability of getting sewer and water to them in a very fast track. We have sewer and water right on the border of where they wanted to be. So
yeah.
Getting that done was not the issue. Secondly, was the reason that it did fail was the timetable, pushing that hard to get it done, and then the fact that we couldn't reach the dollar per square foot amount that they were looking for, and they being Majestic.
Okay, that's rather strange that there was even an announcement if those things weren't ironed out. But let's move on to something that actually was an accomplishment. Recently, we were able to announce that a company called Amston Supply, based out in Raymond, is going to build a more than $5 million operation along the frontage road. That's at about a 6.5 mile road, if I remember right.
Yeah, 6.5 mile road. A nice little trucking firm. Caledonia is very happy to get them out there. It's about a 48,000 square foot building, and again, we're very, very happy to have them come to Caledonia.
There are a couple of interesting things about that. One of them being that they want to build their own operation, but then they also have a lot more land, and they have thoughts of spawning further development, similar complementary kinds of businesses, and actually becoming a kind of a developer there. But the other thing is there's no sewer and water there.
Correct.
And that's kind of a big score for a parcel without sewer and water. That normally that's inhibited business development. So let's talk about the whole issue of sewer and water. Why is Caledonia, Sturtevant and Mount Pleasant have business parks because they have sewer and water pretty much everywhere. Caledonia doesn't. What's the issue?
Well, the issue is we just don't have it. That's the big thing. When it comes to Amstead and their location, we have what they call a spectacular use, where they can put in a holding tank and a deep well to satisfy their needs. And you were correct in saying that they hope to develop that and turn it into a little industrial park. We're actually looking at maybe setting up a TIF for that area, potentially. That's not in
tax increment finance district,
right,
for those who don't know it.
So we're looking at those options, but the reason that they can build there without sewer and water is because of spectacular use. As far as the I-94 corridor. Now that's the area that we have targeted for where we're going to take water and sewer eventually.
But what's held Caledonia back from doing that? You were telling me there's a contractual matter.
Yeah, there was. We didn't have a water contract with the city of Racine. That was number one with the water utility. We buy water from the utility district, but the contract had expired some time ago, and it had to be renegotiated. So that process had to happen. We had to.
And that has been done now, right?
That is correct. That
Just
is
very
done.
recently, I believe, right?
Yes, within the last few months. Yes.
So basically, the chains are off now, and you can start the big extension.
Right. Well, we had to do a sewer agreement with Mount Pleasant as well. They have all the infrastructure
Okay.
that we have to connect to.
Okay.
So those deals had to be put to bed first before we could even get into thinking about bringing it out to the interstate. So.
Now, just last night, the night before we're recording this, you guys, I believe, took some action toward a new tax increment district, which will finance the extension of all the sewer and water. So what's the timing on this now to get it all the way out to the interstate?
Well, we're hoping if things happen in the order that they're supposed to happen, we're hoping to have a pipe in the ground by the fall of next year, September, October latest. So
I think 2015.
2015, yeah. It's an aggressive schedule, but things are in place to get that done. Last night at the board meeting, the board moved the TID forward by approving it going to the planning commission so public hearing can be set the date. I think it would be June 24th to have public hearing on that the TID, and then it'll come back to the board for approval.
And there shouldn't be anything controversial about simply
I
creating
don't
a
believe
tax
so.
increment district. They pay themselves back.
Yeah.
You put in infrastructure,
Right.
development happens, you pay back the original investment.
You always have people who don't want to see the development though. So
Oh.
people who live in a certain area who enjoy and appreciate the country don't want to change. And
Well, maybe let's stay with that point for a second then. What areas, can you briefly describe the areas that you think are most likely to have commercial development?
well, we're looking at west of Franksville. The new TID will be actually west of Franksville,
So along Highway K?
along Highway K, all the way out to the interstate, to our border to the south of with Mount Pleasant, and a little pocket to the north around the pilot station and A&W root beer. So.
And obviously the interstate corridor being prime target, what would be the mileage from the interstate that Caledonia has designated as kind of a development zone?
I would imagine, I don't know the exact mileage, but I imagine
to what road?
north to south would probably be about a mile of frontage. The stars have lined up pretty nicely for getting this done because the highway project is moving along. The intersection for our off-ramp on Highway K is completed. The frontage road extension and all that is completed. So we're in good position to do this move right now. So I think things are perfect for getting this done.
Caledonia is going to be not exactly wiped clean of green space, correct?
Oh, not hardly. No, we have a unique situation in Caledonia. We're 49 square miles, which is pretty big for a village. We have a very well-designated rural area, which we don't want to change. We like what the rural area brings to Caledonia as far as involvement with inner city and bringing kids out to nature and back to nature program offered by the Caledonia Conservancy. So we're very proud of that, and we don't want to change that. The corridor that we're talking about is the frontage road coming in, and the people that we work with at RCDC, they're saying that is the prime target for companies coming in. They want to be close to the interstate, and we can provide that.
Now you have one advantage, you being Caledonia have one advantage once you've got the water and sewer coming in, which is that you don't have any water impact fees, unlike Sturtevant and Mount Pleasant. And just briefly, the water impact fees are something that basically come from the Racine water utility, and they're tied to development. So that's going to be a big advantage, right?
Well, it depends on how you look at it. We like to think of it as an advantage because, but the system is fair from all communities. And what Caledonia is a wholesale customer where they are retail customers. How it's the same is we pay a regional fee, if you will. Any development that comes out, we pay a regional fee to participate in the regional development.
And basically that's paying for the infrastructure that's
Paying
already
for
been
the infrastructure,
laid.
yeah, 23.7% is what Caledonia pays
Okay.
to be part of the system. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's not free, but it's a different format.
Yeah. And Caledonia also recently took a step toward kind of opening its doors to development when you knocked aside the 40% green space requirement. You want to just briefly explain what that was?
Yeah, that had to deal with Title 16, and that primarily targets impermeable areas. So what we felt as a board was that by taking that value to zero would give us some opportunity to what's a good word, fix, or some options on how we cut up green space. Green space doesn't go away because you have setbacks, you've got water drainage issues, you've got right-of-way yields, right-of-ways that you have to pertain to. So,
and most companies also want to have some greenery around.
Right, there's going to be green space,
Uh-huh.
just from the nature of it. So.
Yeah. Finally, what do you think? What are the types of development you expect to see? And I'm sure you'll be next year as you're approaching that fall extension of sewer and water. I would assume you're going to be approached by companies from the outside. So who are you going to be most welcoming to? What kinds of development? What kinds of development do you think is most likely to come knocking at your doors?
If I was to categorize that, I think we'd like to have some companies that are going to bring jobs, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
The more jobs they bring, the better. But we're not opposed to any company that's coming in wanting to build in Caledonia. As we talked about before, Caledonia's in 2011, I think our value of Caledonia was like $2.11 billion, and 86% of that is residential. So it's way out of skew, development versus
commercial versus
commercial,
residential.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So we would like to tighten that up a little bit, get it to where it's a little like 70-30, 60-40. And as far as companies coming in, we're going to entertain anything that comes out knocking on our door because we want to get some development.
But of course, some things are going to be more attractive than others. If some company out there wants to put a big a headquarters or office park with 200 or 300 office workers along the interstate, you'd like that better than a distribution center with 8 people working there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want you to remember too that distribution centers do well too. I mean, as far as bringing in taxable income to Caledonia, so we're not opposed to that. I believe that there'll be some probably a little bit of retail, restaurants. It's a mixed-use area. And one thing about changing the zoning for these areas, I mean, if you designate an area as industrial area, you can't take that industrial area and change it back to commercial or something else. So we are kind of careful on how we approach, how we zone things out there. And, we don't want to shoot ourselves in the foot with zoning issues right away.
Yeah.
So.
Well, things should get interesting as you guys start to extend sewer and water, and so we'll be interested to see what happens. Good luck with that.
Caledonia is very excited about the opportunity of competing. So,
yeah. All right. On that positive note, Bob Bradley, Village President of Caledonia, thanks for being on the show. Thanks to our producer, Scott Anderson, and thanks for watching Money Talks.
Yep.